Excuse me, the National Weather Service did its job. In fact, these people were made aware that there was a significant risk as much as a day before. Then they were given a 3-hour window to evacuate. Even if the Cats did something, and they did not, they got the job done just as they should have. I live in an area where tornadoes are a huge risk. And I always imagined that it could not happen to me. But my dad nearly died from a tornado when I was a kid. Weather is unpredictable and needs to be respected. Apparently, Mr. Jones knows nothing about this history. This photo was taken before we found out about what Epstein was up to. At this point, these two were just known as wealthy New Yorkers. Once Donald Trump found out, Epstein was banned from all his properties. Trump was on his plane with his wife and daughter. If President Trump was on the list, it would have been released under the Biden administration. Something tells me that just about everyone on that list is either a globalist or a Democrat. It was not just a 1 a.m. call. There was a warning issued a day or two before that there was a high risk of flooding. There was enough staff to get this message out. But do not let me keep you from letting you use your Trump derangement syndrome to politicize the deaths of children. What people like Mr. Davies do not seem to realize is that Congress is split. President Trump's big, beautiful bill just barely passed. And these recent Supreme Court decisions just allowed him to do his job. I doubt Mr. Davies said anything when Biden circumvented the Supreme Court. But when the Supreme Court rules in favor of President Trump, it is the end of our republic. The Democrats and rhinos are still in power. Is Mr. Sheneman still under the delusion that those cuts were against hard-working Americans? Apparently, he is. Because only people like Nancy Pelosi can propose cuts to waste, fraud, and abuse. Also, apparently stopping the illegals from accessing these resources means that Americans will be stopped. For reasons. At no point did President Trump blame Biden for the flooding. That would be an illogical blame game that one would expect of a liberal. The flooding was caused by natural forces. Even if it was unnatural forces, these would not be blamed on Biden either. The fact remains that our president did everything within his legal authority to help with this tragedy. I want you to notice the word game that Mr. Sheneman is playing here. Notice that he took criminal invader and switched it with migrant. That is like calling someone who broke into your house a friend over for tea and crumpets. These people could have taken the plane ride home but chose not to. And this prison just needs to be temporary until the invasion is under control. It does not need to be a permanent establishment. I agree that it is very difficult to keep up with President Trump, but Mr. Bennett is using a straw man argument. The tariffs are based on the rate that these other countries are charging us, and also punitive in the case of Mexico letting the cartels run rampant in America. Saying that it is a roll of the dice is just silly. RFK did not give anyone measles. People are still free to get any vaccination that they want, if it has been tested like every other drug on the market. It is just not ethical to mandate a drug created by a company that is immune from prosecution, unless you all of a sudden trust big corporations. Because warning people that there was potential flooding a day before is not nearly enough time. Even if the actual evacuation order came at 1 in the morning, down here, anyone who is worth his salt will be ready to hunker down at a moment's notice if there is a tornado. I do not know if the park just did not disseminate the information quickly enough, or if the people did not take it seriously. Either way, the damage is done, and the staff at these government agencies got the job done. Something tells me that this kid has been vaccinated with every drug that his mom could find, and he probably has all of the boosters. So if he is completely protected, why worry about it? After all, we were told that they were both safe and effective. Biden also told us that if you get the vaccine, you will not get sick. So in other words, nothing changed in the past 50 years. There are more super rich people affecting politics who align with the Democrats than Republicans. However, do not let this fact get in the way of telling a good political narrative.